Hey everyone, it's Mopar Keith. Hey, as a Mopar enthusiast, if you know, then you know, it's hard to have just one. And a lot of us Mopar enthusiasts will collect parts cars because for the longest time, there were no aftermarket parts. So we just collected cars. And it doesn't matter if it's a 4-door or a 318 car or what the deal was, we collected cars for parts. Well, as the years have gone by, they have become more and more like Chevys, Camaros or Mustangs, where a lot of stuff is reproduced. But no matter what, we still collect parts cars. So this is a bit of my junkyard right here. I think I have 10 or so. We'll go through them here. This is like a 73 or 4 Charger. Complete. Now every car here is just a complete pile of crap, but everything still has parts, little bits and pieces. I love coming out to these cars and just looking at some of the details. All right, so right here we can tell we have a 73 or 4, and this is identified by the isolators on the K-frame. So in 1973, they changed the geometry of the front suspension and they changed the frames. Wow, check this out. So this car has been outside for so long that the gearbox filled up with water and froze. Just broke that gearbox. That's crazy. I would almost bet it's just from water freezing inside there. So anyway, a lot of these cars you just get because people say, hey, I've got this old Chrysler, do you want it? I'm gonna scrap it. So that's how I get a lot of cars. Still a ton of parts on this car. Anywhere from hinges, hood, latches. There's strikers. The original strikers are still worth something. Window regulators with raccoon crap on them. I don't know. Valance lights, just everything. Let's move on to the next one. This is the original color, and it looks like it had a repaint, but there's the original color there, 1971 Challenger. Now I do have a title to this car. It is a 3D3 two-barrel car. I've been stripping parts off of this for years. Here is a 1971 Barracuda. I have a Fender tag and a title for this car. This is just a 318 car. This car has given up its life so many times to get other cars on the road. And now, with a title and a Fender tag, this car could be restored. Probably not worth it, but there's paperwork that can make this car go on the road again. So totally valuable in small ways, but there's parts. All right, the next car, 1972 Challenger. This is also a 318 car, completely rusty. I kind of followed this car for years and years. It was in a forest, like in someone's timber. And after years and years of just kind of keeping an eye on it, the guy finally let it go. Well, it is so bad that the control arms have rusted clean through. And let's get down here and take a look. Check that out. If you're into Mopars, you know exactly what's going on with that thing. This is a floor shift car. I gave up the sun visors to the guys at 5150, Tony and Troy. They needed some sun visors for a 72. And otherwise, I've just been kind of parting it out. I did pull the dash, and I sold a couple of things off the dash, and I got the rest of the dash assembly in the shop. One thing I like to do with these cars is get the plastic out of them. And so I'll pull, like this one, I still want to pull the seats, but I'll try to pull the dash out of them. Now this car here, this 68 Satellite, was garbage, and it's totally gross inside. But I need to pull the windshield out and get the dash out of it and get that out of the elements. So once again, like, there's so many gross things inside these cars. it's just hard to, like, I don't know, there's a Chevy bell housing in there, but tons of parts. I do have a 68 3D3 4-speed 4-door Belvedere that I'm going to restore someday. And these 4 doors are actually got some parts on them that I'd like to get. Next, 69 Dodge Cornet. What is this, a 440 or? Yep, this is a 440 model, but a 318 car. A lot of times people get those confused. You might say, hey, I got a Cornet 440, but it's not a 440 engine. A lot of these have fender tags on them still. Let's go back to this. So I know the fender tag on this Challenger is super rotted. You can hardly read it. Here's the 68. Now I think I need to pull these fender tags off and save them, get them out of the elements, but they've been here for years. But I think this summer I'm going to go along and get them pulled off before they somehow mysteriously disappear. 69 Cornet 318 car. I've been parting this thing out for tons of parts. Fender brackets, bolts, hood latch, just everything. I did pull the glass and get the dash out of that a couple years ago. I remember this car. I spotted the guy and I actually followed him. I stalked the kid. He was driving it, and I followed him until he pulled over, and I asked him if he would want to sell it, and he sold it to me for a song, and it was on its last leg when he had it. And so this car was a running driving car when I got it. 69 Satellite 4-door, just a 318 junker. Trying to keep the hood on it and the air cleaner on it, so I think the engine would still be good. Fender tag on that one, so I need to get that off of there. Was that a G or a B? That is a G, so that's a St. Louis car. All right, let's see, more on the junkyard crawl. Giving shout out to Steve with his junkyard crawl. This guy right here, 68 Belvedere. I went down to Missouri. This car actually ran. I drove it on the trailer, brought it back here to Iowa, and the slant 6 now is going to be a modified turbo slant 6 for my friend Jared. And I did a video on us removing the engine just before winter hit, and we pulled it right here outside, and I had the forklift right here. You can still see the tracks. Had the forklift right here. We threw some cardboard on the ground and just pulled the engine out right here. As you can see, I put all these cars in here with the forklift, but to get one pulled out, forget it. So I didn't even want to put this inside on the hoist. We just pulled it apart right here. This was a solid car. Still has some good fenders and hood on it. Maybe not that good. I don't know. Anyway, pulled the dash out of that. That's inside. All right, so here's a car that kind of is special, but you're gonna laugh because of the way I'm treating it. But this car, I actually went on one of my first dates with my wife, and this is a 69 Satellite 318 car. A friend of mine found this car next to a house in Iowa City and said, hey, I know where this car is. It looks like a Roadrunner. I went over there and bought it. Drove it for a couple years. I could never get the car to get good heat, and I just honestly just quit driving it. And I sold a fender to a guy for his Roadrunner, and the car got pretty rusty, and I don't know, it just kind of went to hell. I did put a 4-barrel on it once, and it ran like shit, and then I just moved on to other cars. I had a Roadrunner and just other interests, so this car fell by the wayside, and unfortunately it's just garbage. It does have a fender tag. See if we can get a picture of that here. There we go. Get a close up on that. 318, 69. Also a G car, so St. Louis build. So very cool. F3 green. So I got to get that fender tag off there. All right, now here's the last one in this row. All right, so some of you right away, you're gonna say, hey, that's a 71. Well, it's a 72 with a 71 fender on it, and it is not a Roadrunner, it's just a satellite. Now that one, I do have the fender tag and the VIN tag, and I have it inside the shop. So there's your 72 fender. Let's go to the back here. Just fucking garbage. Cut the window regulator out of there for another project. There's a bullet hole that somehow got there. Don't ask me how. I just mysteriously one day showed up. 72 satellite. So that thing is just, it's garbage, but these cars are not going anywhere. I'm just going to continue to pull parts off of them. And I put a lot of parts in the cars too. So same way with vans. I buy vans, or I get vans for free, because they're a great place to put car parts. So 4 doors, great cars for fenders and trunk lids and dashboard pieces. This still has one good taillight. The finish panel, yeah, that finish panel could be fixed. See, it's got the see-through trunk floor. Ooh, more bullet holes. Where are all these bullet holes coming from? What else? All right, let's go over to another row of cars here. All right. Got a Blazer. I'm not even sure what year this Blazer is. Maybe some of you in the comments, what year Blazer is this? Now, I'm working on getting the title for this, kind of. I've got some paperwork filed for it. So, pretty rusty. Got this from a friend who misplaced the title years ago. I'll probably never fix it. Removable top. Let's see, is it a full frame door or not? Okay, so I would call this not a full frame door. So I don't know what the GM or Chevy technical term for that is. All right, here's another car. This was my wife's car. We went down to Missouri, picked this up from a relative of some kind. This car is kind of interesting. So we're driving it around, and my wife's driving, and we get off the interstate on the off ramp, and she hooks the right front tire off the edge of the highway, and she kind of did a counter steer. And long story short, we went in the ditch, and we had to have a wrecker pull us out. The car was fine, but like a week later, all of a sudden the rear differential started making a terrible grinding noise. And I always blamed her in a joking way. I mean, it's just an old Dodge, but I always blamed her for killing the car, because we slid it into the ditch, and basically the rear end kind of went out on it. And I drove it around until the rear end just completely let loose. Just a 7 1/4, and just pulled a ton of parts off this. A 318 car with AC. I ended up taking it's a 73. So I ended up taking the big bolt pattern front K-frame assembly and put it in my Duster. So that car kind of gave up its life. She always gives me hell about it, because I parted the car out, kind of. Then we'll go around the front. But this is my grandpa's Cutlass, like 77 or 8 or something like that. He bought this car brand new. The family, my uncles, they were just going to junk it. And the car actually runs. I had it running like 2 years ago. Completely mousy. There's an old Dodge truck. I got this for free from a friend. He was just going to scrap it. And there's the hood. There's a computer monitor. It's clearance lights. My friend was just going to scrap it. He's like, hey, there's no title to this. You want it? So I drove like a couple hours away to get it. And here it sits. I need to put the hood on it, and I do have a front grill. I actually got 2 tin grills for it. So I thought about just putting it together. It kind of looks cool sitting out here in the yard. There's my frame jig from when we restore cars. Yeah, this is my grandpa's car. He bought it brand new. I remember riding around in that as a kid. Here's that 318 Dart. This thing is still loaded with bolts and all kinds of crazy fasteners and stuff. I remember for an e-body, we came out here and we got the door strikers off it not long ago. There's that Blazer. Who knows what year it is? Is this a 76? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think it is. Here's a random Chevy hood that I got for free. There's an old square body box I use for a trailer. Got transmissions. Got a street sweeper that someone gave me. This thing weighs like as much as 3 cars. So anyway, that's the junkyard tour here at Noel Automotive. Nothing's worth stealing except for them fender tags, which I'm gonna get pulled off now. But there's just nothing here, just little bolts and stuff. Hey, if you need something, just let me know. Probably let you have it. So, little junkyard tour. This is my 9N. I call it Little Jenny. 9N hasn't run in a couple years. As a Chrysler guy, guess what this has on it? Yeah, I put a Chrysler alternator on it. So, it's got Protronics, Chrysler alternator, electronic voltage regulator. Let's take a look under here. There's that electronic voltage regulator. Man, I can smell the varnish from here. I really need to get this running. She's falling apart. I used to use this for mowing. I have a blade for it, a disc, a gill. I had a mower for it, but then I quit mowing and got a newer model mower. This tractor is still viable. So literally ran when parked. I parked it outside one winter, and then just one time it just didn't start. So anyway, there's the row of cars. I'm always looking for parts cars. Now, I'm not going to drive clear across the country to get an old parts car, but if I find one in western Illinois or somewhere in the eastern quadrant of Iowa, still like to buy parts cars. So anyway, thanks for joining me on the on the junkyard tour. Please like and subscribe and keep watching for more Mopar content.